Hello, good day everyone. Welcome to our first video for this course, Hardware and Software Installation. So this afternoon, we are going to discuss what are the factors to consider when choosing an operating system or when installing different types of softwares. And then the second part will be uh, the steps that we're going to follow in order to install a particular software or program. And the third one is the actual demonstration on how we're going to install the application. So let's start with the factors that are to consider in installation of operating system and other software programs in our system. So hardware software installation, this is our course pack 2. Learning objectives, we have to identify the factors to consider when installing a software or operating system and the software requirements. Second, perform a step-by-step installation instruction of application software with the observance of software and hardware requirements. The third one is emphasize the safety and hardware requirements in installing the application. So these are all our objectives after the lesson. So first, factors to consider when choosing an operating system. So in our previous video, we are demonstrating on how to disassemble and assemble a computer system. So after the hardware installation, we will now go to software application because software is part of the component in the computer system. So we are going to discuss what are the considerations and what are the things that we are going to do or we are going to consider in choosing an operating system or installing any application to our computer. So first thing is we need to have hardware configuration or provision of the computer. Okay, so we have to consider the hardware configuration. Okay, example, the memory size, the hard disk capacity, the type of processor, and others. So hardware configurations or hardware specification is the first that we are going to consider in installing any software to our computer, especially in our operating system. Okay, operating system needs to consider hardware specification because if the hardware specification is not fit to the operating system or the maximum or the minimum requirements of this operating system does not comply with the hardware specification, then there might be a problem with the functionality of your computer. So you have to consider the memory size, the hard disk capacity, and the type of processor. So when you are going to upgrade your operating system, make sure to consider the hardware configuration. Okay. Number 2, basic design of the computer. Okay, it is example, it's either an IBM or IBM compatible or an Apple computer. So installing an operating system should have to consider the design of your computer system. Okay, meaning you have to consider the compatibility of your operating system. So if your operating system is Windows, then you can have the IBM, or if your computer is an Apple computer, then you can have Linux probably. All right, so that is talking about the compatibility of your operating system or the software that you are going to install to your system. Next is application intended for the computer. Okay, you have to consider what are the applications intended for your computer. What are the applications that you need as the end user of this computer? So never install everything or any application which are not supposed to be serving its purpose. It will add burden to your computer that may cause slow of operation if that will be mismanaged. So what does number 3 means is that you are going to install an application that is only according to the need of the end user. So those applications which are not necessary in your computer system, then do not include that in the installation. All right. Number 4, user friendliness or human computer interface. So this is also very important consideration when you install a software or a program or an operating system. Okay, user friendliness. So it is better that the interface of your computer is user friendly, meaning it is easy for you to use without any orientation, without any further study on how to use it, since the system that the program that is installed is user friendly, then that would be the best for the user. So menu driven or graphical user interface based. So that is what the Windows is offering to us. They are offering graphical user interface, beautiful GUI that we could see in our monitor, so we could freely manipulate those interface or icons for us to process something. Next is availability in the market. Okay, availability in the market. Microsoft Windows based operating systems are very common. So consider also if this operating system or if these softwares that you wanted to install is available in the market. It may be there will be a proprietary amount involved, or if that is an open source operating system or application. Reliability. Can it run without crashing or hanging? Stop responding to commands. So reliable. Reliability meaning there are no further issues on this particular program. Okay? Costs. How expensive is operating system? So for Windows operating system, licensed operating system, it is quite expensive. But there are many advantages if you're going to use a licensed operating system. That is because of the features that are offered by this application, and updates are available. So that is the advantage. So when we talk about cost, we have to consider also the application that you're going to purchase that is not so expensive, and yet it is offering more or less the same function as to the expensive one. So the next topic that we're going to discuss is the factors that you need to consider before installing or upgrading an operating system or productivity applications. So there are some factors you need to consider before installing or upgrading an operating system or productivity application to ensure it will work. You should make sure that the application you wish to install is compatible with your operating system. Okay guys, so compatibility issues are very important thing that you are going to consider in installing your software. Compatible, will it be compatible to the operating system that you are installing in your system? So that is one of the consideration. Okay, hardware technology system, that is number one. This is the computer specification, particularly the CPU, video system, amount of RAM, free disk space. So if any of these are not good enough for new software installation, it will fail. So hardware technology system, before you are going to install any application, you have to consider your hardware specifications. Okay, will it run into this particular specification? Because there are, or most of the applications are requiring hardware specifications. Okay, software are requiring computer specification that will run, or that will run this application. So this is one of the consideration that you need to consider before the installation of a particular software. Okay, well, this software requires a lot of space in your disk. Okay, meaning there is portability issue. So next is accessibility features. Accessibility, which means this is accessible. If these are important to the user, they should be checked to ensure they are included in the software before it is installed. Okay, so you have to consider that if this will be installed in your system, you have to make sure that everything that you need are already included in that package. So that is accessibility. Next is speed. It is important, especially when new software will run on older hardware. Slower software adversely affects the user experience and reduces the productivity. Speed also. It is very important that when you do something in relation to your job, speed is very important. No? It will affect your performance as the end user if your software is slower. That is, in terms of process, that is because of the hardware issues also. So speed, will this software will not affect the speed in terms of processing your activity? Okay, so that is speed. Next is security features. Security, these are important in new operating system and includes firewalls, malware management, and setting user permission. So an organization needs to understand and security features so they can be set up to protect the system and protect the user. So security features is very important, especially in technology. There are a lot of issues in relation to security because maybe some of the company did not really see the importance of security, or some people did not really consider security features in their computer system. Okay, so that is why an operating system is offering also security features, so that the purpose is to manage and protect your data and any unauthorized access to your system. So next is cost of the software. So an organization needs to check the full cost of the software before the installation. The full cost will be the cost of the license needed for all computer plus the cost of setting up the software, training staff, and paying for any support and maintenance, right? So cost of the software, because after the installation of the software, especially if that software is new for the end user, well, of course, there are the company should have to allocate a budget for the training of the staff on how to use, for the maintenance, okay, and for the licenses. So that is one of the consideration you have to consider when you are going to buy a software. You have to consider also the cost of the software. Will this cost suffice to the services that the software will have to offer to the end user? Okay, so everything will be considered in terms of cost, training, the setup, the maintenance, and the licenses and others. So that would be one of the bases in acquiring the software or installing the software in your system. Okay, so we are going to have, again, we will talk about the 6 factors to consider when choosing an office software. So we're going to talk about office software. Let's say, for example, an application software. Okay, Microsoft Office application, that is one of the example. So 6 factors. What are the factors that we are going to consider in choosing software applications? Okay, first is associated expenses. So you can purchase most of the software in one of 2 ways. So the more traditional option is to simply purchase the software suite, and by doing so, you will own the software for as long as you want. Another option is that available program like Microsoft Office is to purchase a subscription. So it's either you are going to subscribe or you are going to purchase the software suite. Okay, so with the subscription, you can typically get upgrades to newer version of the software because they released. So you don't have to purchase new software as you might with another product. So this is one of the advantages of having a subscription. You will subscribe, then any upgrades on the software that this particular developer develops, then you could have the update. So meaning any updates you can avail because you subscribe. Of course, with subscription, you are also paying with that software. Alright? So the best way to compare expenses between subscription service and one-time software purchase is to estimate the length of time that you'll use the software before purchasing a new version. Okay, so if you're going to buy a software package and you will not subscribe on it, so meaning if ever what features you wanted to be incorporated, then you are going to buy another set of software. Unlike with subscription, that when you subscribe, any updates will be available upon subscription. Next is ease of use. Ease of use, meaning this is on the issue of user friendliness. Is this particular software you install is easy to use? Will this software will not require more training? All right, so those are the considerations. So some programs are most intuitive than others, meaning intuitive is simple and user friendly. Okay, Most business professionals are already versed in Microsoft Office to some extent. If you purchase Office software, that's comparable or easier to use. So you won't have any additional training expenses. Okay? So install a software or purchase a software which are easy to use. Okay? User friendly. Okay? Do not purchase software which are very complicated when it comes to processing the data. Okay? However, if you opt for more complex Office suite, you'll need to take time to properly train your employees. So compare the benefit of the program enhanced functionality to the expense and challenges associated with teaching your employees to use it. So this will happen actually if you are purchasing a software which is customized, no? Which is a software that is only designed for your company's process. So that is quite different. So in that case, you need to train the end user how to use the software. So it will also allocate a lot of money. You will have to allocate budget for it, for training and enhance the functionality. Okay. Software requirements. Make sure you are aware of any specific hardware or operating system software requirements that you need to run the software. Okay? So when you are going to install a particular software, please try to consider what are the requirements, especially in the hardware side of this particular software. Okay? Because there might be a problem if your hardware is not compatible to your software or your software is not compatible to your hardware. So you need to consider the software requirements. Then security elements. Security is one of the biggest concern for every business owners. So you can simply trust a new piece of software to be as secure as you need it to be. So in fact, many programs outline the need to take additional security measures. Okay, so security is very important, especially in dealing with money, right? Transactions for your business. So security is one of the most to consider by the business owner because it is the features that will protect the integrity of your business. Scalability. Okay, scalability. Another factor that you may need to consider is if the software has the ability to scale to fit your business growing needs. Okay? Oftentimes, a business will not wait too long before looking for a new software and only begin to search when they've completed outgrown their old software. So meaning scalability, could this software adapt to the present needs of your company? Okay? Could this software address the needs of the current situation? So that is scalability. So be sure that your new software will be capable of growing with your business to fit your ever evolving needs as well as staff growth. So by choosing software that will grow with you, you're investing in a product that could last you through the years to come. So scalability also is important, meaning there is an issue on adaptability. Next is functionality. Nearly all companies need programs for word processing and spreadsheets, but you should dig a little deeper into your requirements to adequately determine the best software solution. Functionality meaning will the functionality of your system would fit to the need of your company, right? Was there any problem that arises in the process of your data? So functionality issues. So next topic that we're going to have is we are going to demonstrate, or we're going to illustrate the step-by-step installation instruction. Then after this will be the actual demonstration on how to install a particular software. Okay, step-by-step installation instructions. So the following are step-by-step instruction for installing Energy Lens. So if you have done so already, you will need to download this Energy Lens setup file before following this installation step. So this software is actually quite the same when it comes to the process of installation. So after you acquire the application or the installer, so these following steps are applicable to the process. First is open the setup file. So you should have to save the downloaded file somewhere on your computer. Find the file and double click it to open. Alright, so let's say for example we have downloaded the installation file. So the installation file that is in the extension exe, meaning these are executable file. So what you're going to do is just simply double click or right click, then open. So it's quite the same. So double click this, and if you can find the setup file on your computer, you may need to download it again. So meaning if you don't see any .exe file in that particular installer files, then you have to download it again. Okay, making a careful note of where your computer you save it. So you have to locate the exact location of your installer before you can install a particular software. Next is handle the security warning if it appears. So depending on your Windows security settings, you may get a security warning. So do you want to allow this app to make changes to your device? So if you want to proceed, of course you are going to click yes. If you don't want, then you will click no. Okay. Next is follow the step setup wizard. So this is our setup wizard. So Energy Lens setup wizard should automatically start. Then the first screen is shown in this area. So license agreement. This is what you call the EULA, end user license agreement, which you are, as the user, you have to read the agreement between this application and you, whether you are going to conform with this agreement or not. So that is why there is an option, I accept the agreement or I do not accept the agreement. So in the case that you do not accept the agreement, so meaning transaction will not prosper, right? So if you do not accept the agreement, you are not conforming with this agreement being cited by a particular language or a particular application to be installed, then no installation process will be continued. So if you wanted that this particular program or application will be installed to your system, you need to accept, and then followed by clicking the next button. So to continue through each stage of the wizard, once you have reached the end, you should see the following screen. So there are some applications that after clicking the next, there will be another window that will appear that you need to confirm. You will say next, 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 until such time you will end up to the button finish. Okay, so click the finish button to complete the installation. So we'll just let the computer to install its application. Okay, installing its application, that is one way of introducing this application to the computer system with the help of the operating system, because in the absence of operating system, this software will not function, right? Since the operating system is responsible for communicating your hardware and your software being installed to your system. So getting started with the energy lens, the last page is of the installation wizards will give you the option of automatically launching energy lens. So when you click finish, then you can start now the process of using that particular application. Okay, so before we are going to proceed to the actual installation process, then I just want you to answer this following question. What are the 4 common steps in installation process? So you are going to enumerate this and then give a specific and direct to the point explanation of these steps. What is ease of use that is considered when using the Office software? So explain what is ease of use. If possible, give a simple example. Then number 3, there are 7 factors to consider when choosing an operating system. So out of that 7 factors, you just select 2 of the factors and then briefly explain each. Okay, so that would be our assessment for this topic or module. Then since this will be our last topic to be discussed, then what you're going to do is you have to read the contents of course pack 3 and 4 for the final examination, and then have a review also on the contents of the course pack 1 and 2 for our final examination. Okay, so these are the references. So this time we are going to have the demonstration on how to install a particular application in our system. So we are going to have, or we're going to install a Camtasia application. A Camtasia application is, this is a video editing app which enables us to edit our videos or our recordings. So this is the application that we're going to install. Okay, so all you have to do is just simply it's either you are going to double click or have to open. Okay, so click open. So mind you that this application is an .exe, okay, and this is an .exe file. So you are going to have open. Okay, we'll have to wait for the operating system to communicate with this application in order to load the installer. Okay, so consideration, we need to consider our hardware, especially this is more about graphics, so it is quite heavy. So try to consider your hardware specification. So in this particular installer, you are going to select the language. If you are a Filipino, so just use English, because English is everybody could understand. It's the language where everybody could understand, so just use English. Okay, then click okay. Then next is accept the terms or the license terms. So if you wanted to read the license terms, you're going to click this license terms, then you will be redirected to the agreement. Or if you want to proceed to the installation, just simply check this checkbox. for you to enable this button install. Okay, so there are options here. If you wanted to see options, so you can visit or you can click the option. So by this time we just have to demonstrate on the process, so just click install. Okay, then conformity. Do you want to allow this app to make changes to your device? So of course, if you wanted that this software will have to be installed in your system, just click yes. All right, so preparing the installation. So what we're going to do is just simply to wait on the process, because we could not let the computer to do in a hurry, because this installer will have to install accordingly. So in the installation of software, we just simply follow the steps what is being required by the particular application. So whatever information that they need, just simply provide. So while you are installing, there are some that the features on how to use this application will be also demonstrated. Okay, so just like this, okay, how to demonstrate how to record your screen. So we'll have to wait until it reach to 100% installation process. So after this installation process, then we can now use this application. So you need to consider now, by the way, when you are going to install your applications or your software, one thing that you're going to consider is your hardware specification, because that would also affect to the performance of your software when you are going to use, or it will affect to the installation process, especially if that particular application is quite heavy. So when it comes to this Camtasia, it is dealing with video and audio editing. So this is quite heavy application. So the computer that I am using now is i5, Acer i5. So when it comes to compatibility, there is no problem. When it comes to the hardware requirements, there is no problem. And it could really handle the software requirements or the hardware requirements of this particular installer. So when we are going to install the operating system, the process is quite the same, only that there are some steps that you are going to consider before the installation process. So unlike for the installation of software, that you're just simply to double click the setup file or the application file, then you will be following instruction to proceed with the installation process. So now we're done with the installation. So install successful. So TechSmith Camtasia. Okay, so by clicking finish, meaning everything was successfully installed. All right, so let's say for example, you wanted to uninstall your applications. There are some applications that are not anymore being used. So how are you going to do is just simply go to your search box and then type control panel. Okay, in the control panel you could see here the different application being installed to your system. So you have to check. Okay, in your control panel you have system and security, we have network and internet, we have hardware and sound, user account, login, clock and region is of access, right? So in here programs, so this is where our programs being installed in this particular computer. So just simply click uninstall a program. Okay, so these are the following programs that are installed in our system. So let's say, for example, you want to uninstall a particular application. So this is the one that is being installed just this moment. So if you wanted to uninstall one of the programs being installed in here, so let's say, for example, CC Cleaner, okay, or Div C++. This is a programming language. All right, so what you're going to do is just simply to click, and then let's say, for example, uninstall the L360 printer driver. So just simply click, select this installer or application being installed to your system, and then go to uninstall or change. All right, so just click this one, uninstall, and then proceed to yes. Uninstall or change the application, go to yes, and then it is now the function of an operating system to facilitate the instruction to the central processing unit. Okay, so we will just wait when is the OK button will be enabled to proceed the uninstallation process. Okay, so that is how we are going to install and uninstall the applications to our computer. Again, to uninstall, just simply type in your start button, or in here in the search box, just simply type control panel, then go to the control panel and go to the installed programs. Okay, so while waiting for the uninstallation process, or if you don't want to proceed, you are just simply click the cancel, meaning the action of uninstalling this particular program or software being installed to your system will be cancelled. Okay, so let's just cancel this. So if you wanted to pursue, just simply wait on the process, and then when this button OK will be enabled, then you just simply click the OK, then everything will be processed and uninstalled to your system. So in this case, I will just simply click cancel to cancel the process, and then so we are now here in the installed Camtasia application. Alright, so this is 2021 version. So just simply close this, and then alright, so I guess the process and the considerations in installing or choosing an application to be installed to your system is quite clear to you. The installation process, the considerations are actually being introduced. So when you have a chance to install a software to your system, try to revisit those considerations, because that is very helpful to your system and to you as the end user of your computer system. So guys, that would be all for this topic. I hope that everything is properly and well discussed. So for any updates, or if you wanted to review on our discussions, please try to visit my channel, GESS space Sums TV, GESS space SUMS TV. So you could see there the different videos in relation to hardware and software installation. So thank you very much. God bless and stay safe, everyone.